Emily sat at her desk, her heart racing with excitement as she flipped through bridal magazines, envisioning her dream wedding. She had been waiting for this moment her whole life, and now that she was engaged to Alex, she was determined to make it perfect. "Emily, have you thought about the wedding venue yet?" Alex asked, peeking over her shoulder at the magazine. Emily looked up, a smile spreading across her face. "Not yet, but I have a few ideas. I want something elegant and romantic, maybe a garden wedding or a beautiful ballroom." Alex nodded, his eyes shining with love. "That sounds perfect, just like you." As they discussed their ideas, Emily's phone rang, interrupting their conversation. It was Barbara, Alex's mother. "Hi, Barbara, what's up?" Emily answered, her voice cheerful. "Emily, I was thinking about the wedding, and I have some ideas I'd like to discuss with you," Barbara said, her tone confident. Emily felt a pang of unease. Barbara had always been a bit overbearing, but she had hoped that planning the wedding would be a chance for them to bond. "Of course, Barbara. What did you have in mind?" Emily asked, trying to sound enthusiastic. Barbara launched into a detailed plan for the wedding, including a grand venue, a guest list that seemed to grow by the minute, and elaborate decorations. Emily listened politely, but inside, she felt overwhelmed. This wasn't the wedding she had envisioned. "Barbara, I appreciate your ideas, but I was thinking of something a bit more intimate," Emily said, trying to be diplomatic. Barbara's expression hardened. "But Emily, this is a once-in-a-lifetime event. We should go all out and make it truly memorable." Emily felt a knot forming in her stomach. She knew she had to assert herself, but she didn't want to upset Barbara or create tension between them. "I understand, Barbara, but I really want the wedding to reflect Alex's and my personalities," Emily said, hoping to find a middle ground. Barbara sighed, clearly disappointed.
Fine, Emily.
"It's your wedding, after all. But I just want it to be perfect for Alex." As Emily hung up the phone, she felt a mix of emotions. She was grateful for Barbara's enthusiasm, but she also knew that she needed to set boundaries to ensure that her wedding day was everything she had dreamed of. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of the challenges she would face in planning her dream wedding. Emily sat at her desk, flipping through bridal magazines and Pinterest boards, imagining her perfect wedding day. She was thrilled to be planning the event of her dreams with Alex, her fiancé, by her side. They had always talked about their wedding, and now that it was finally happening, Emily was determined to make it everything they had ever wanted. As she cut out pictures of wedding dresses and floral arrangements, her phone rang. It was Barbara, Alex's mother.
Y Barbara.
"How are you?" Emily answered cheerfully. "Hello, Emily. I'm good, thank you. I was actually calling to talk to you about the wedding," Barbara said, her tone serious. Emily's heart skipped a beat. She knew Barbara was excited about the wedding, but she also knew that Barbara had strong opinions about everything. "What's on your mind, Barbara?" Emily asked cautiously. "I've been thinking about the venue for the wedding, and I have a suggestion," Barbara began. "I think we should have the wedding at the country club. It's elegant, it's beautiful, and it's perfect for a wedding." Emily hesitated. She had always imagined getting married in a rustic barn, surrounded by nature. The country club was luxurious, but it didn't feel like her. "Barbara, I appreciate your suggestion, but Alex and I have already chosen a venue," Emily said politely. Barbara's voice turned cold. "Oh, really? And when were you planning on telling me this? I thought we were all in this together, planning the wedding as a family." "We are, Barbara. But Alex and I want to make sure the wedding reflects who we are as a couple," Emily explained, trying to keep her voice steady. Barbara sighed. "I understand, Emily, but I just want what's best for Alex. I want his wedding day to be perfect." Emily felt a pang of guilt. She knew Barbara meant well, but she also knew that this was her and Alex's day, not Barbara's. "Barbara, I appreciate your input, I really do. But Alex and I have a vision for our wedding, and we hope you can support us in that, Emily said, trying to be firm but kind. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line before Barbara spoke again. I see. Well, I'll let you get back to your planning. Just know that I only want what's best for my son. As Emily hung up the phone, she felt a sense of unease. She knew that Barbara's interference was just beginning, and she was unsure of how to handle it without causing a rift in her relationship with Alex's mother. Emily sat at the kitchen table, flipping through bridal magazines and making notes for her dream wedding. She was filled with excitement and joy, imagining the day she would marry Alex. But her excitement was tempered by the growing tension between her and Barbara. One afternoon, Barbara dropped by unexpectedly, carrying a stack of wedding brochures and magazines. I've been doing some research, dear, Barbara said, smiling brightly. I found some wonderful ideas for the wedding. I think you'll love them. Emily forced a smile, grateful for Barbara's enthusiasm, but wary of her tendency to take over. Thank you, Barbara. I appreciate your help, Emily said politely, hoping to keep the peace. Barbara began to lay out her ideas, detailing every aspect of the wedding from the venue to the color scheme. Emily listened politely at first, but as Barbara's ideas became more elaborate and extravagant, Emily started to feel overwhelmed. Barbara, these ideas are lovely, but I was thinking of something simpler, Emily interjected, trying to steer the conversation back to her vision. Barbara's smile faltered slightly. Oh, dear, I understand. But I just want the best for you and Alex. I want this day to be perfect. Emily felt a pang of guilt. She knew Barbara meant well, but she also knew that she needed to assert herself and make sure her own wishes were respected. Barbara, I appreciate your input, I really do. But this is our wedding, and I want it to reflect our personalities and our style, Emily said firmly. Barbara's smile faded, replaced by a look of disappointment. I see. Well, I'll leave these here for you to look over. Let me know if you change your mind. With that, Barbara gathered her things and left, leaving Emily feeling conflicted. She knew she had to stand up for herself, but she also didn't want to hurt Barbara's feelings. As the days passed, the tension between Emily and Barbara grew. Barbara continued to offer unsolicited advice and make decisions without consulting Emily or Alex. Emily tried to assert herself, but Barbara was resistant to change, leading to more conflicts and misunderstandings. Emily knew she had to find a way to balance her desire for the perfect wedding with her need to maintain harmony with her future in-laws. But as the wedding planning continued, she realized that finding that balance would be more difficult than she ever imagined. As the wedding planning continued, so did Barbara's interference. Emily tried to remain patient and understanding, but Barbara's constant criticism and insistence on having things her way began to take a toll on her. One afternoon, Emily and Alex sat down with Barbara to discuss some of the details for the wedding. Emily had spent weeks carefully planning every aspect, from the flowers to the seating arrangements, and she was excited to share her vision with Barbara. Mom, we've decided on a color scheme for the wedding, Alex began, trying to sound enthusiastic. Barbara glanced at the color swatches Emily had laid out on the table and frowned. I don't like these colors. They're too bright and garish. We need something more elegant and refined. Emily felt a surge of frustration. But, Barbara, these colors are important to us. They have a special meaning for Alex and me. Barbara waved her hand dismissively. Well, I'm sorry, dear, but I just can't support this. We need to go with something more traditional. Alex tried to intervene. Mom, we appreciate your input, but this is our wedding. We want it to reflect who we are as a couple. Barbara's expression hardened. Fine, have it your way. But don't come crying to me when it's a disaster. With that, Barbara stood up and stormed out of the room, leaving Emily and Alex sitting in stunned silence. Emily felt a mix of anger and sadness. She had hoped that Barbara would eventually come around and support their decisions, but it seemed that their differences were too great to overcome. Alex put a comforting arm around Emily.
I'm sorry, Emily.
I thought I could reason with her, but she's just so stubborn. Emily shook her head, wiping away a tear. It's not your fault, Alex. I just don't know how to handle this anymore. I feel like no matter what we do, it's never going to be good enough for her. Alex hugged her tightly, his own frustration mounting. I know, Emily, but we can't let her ruin our special day. We'll find a way to make it work, I promise. And with that, they began to brainstorm ideas on how to move forward, determined to not let Barbara's interference overshadow their love and excitement for their wedding day. As the wedding planning continued, so did the tension between Emily and Barbara. Barbara's interference had escalated to the point where she was making decisions without consulting Emily or Alex, completely disregarding their wishes. One evening, as Emily and Alex sat down to discuss the wedding plans, Emily couldn't contain her frustration any longer. Alex, I can't do this anymore. Your mother is completely taking over our wedding, and it's not what we want at all. Alex sighed, running a hand through his hair. I know, Emily. I've tried talking to her, but she just won't listen. I don't know what else to do. Emily felt a surge of anger. Well, we need to do something, Alex. This is our wedding, not hers. We need to assert ourselves and take back control. Alex nodded, determination flickering in his eyes. You're right, Emily. We can't let her continue to steamroll us like this. I'll talk to her again and make it clear that we're in charge of our wedding, not her. The next day, Alex sat down with Barbara to have a heart-to-heart conversation. He explained to her how her behavior was affecting Emily and him, emphasizing that while they valued her input, the final decisions were theirs to make. At first, Barbara was defensive, insisting that she only wanted what was best for them. But as Alex stood firm, she began to realize the extent of her interference and how it was causing strain on their relationship.
I'm sorry, Alex.
I just want everything to be perfect for you and Emily, Barbara said, tears welling up in her eyes. I didn't realize I was overstepping. I'll back off and let you two plan the wedding the way you want. Alex hugged his mother, feeling a sense of relief and resolution. Thank you, Mom. We appreciate your support, but we need to do this our way. We love you and want you to be a part of our special day, but we need you to respect our decisions. Barbara nodded, wiping away her tears. I understand, Alex. I just want you both to be happy. I'll do whatever it takes to make that happen. With Barbara's assurance, Emily and Alex were able to take back control of their wedding planning. They learned that communication and boundaries were key to maintaining harmony with their families, setting the stage for a beautiful and memorable wedding day. As the wedding planning continued, so did Barbara's interference. She began to take over more and more aspects of the wedding, disregarding Emily's wishes and making decisions without consulting the couple. Emily tried to remain calm and accommodating, but the tension between her and Barbara was palpable. One day, as Emily and Alex were discussing the seating arrangements for the reception, Barbara walked in, a stack of papers in hand. I've been thinking, Barbara said, her tone decisive. I think we should change the seating arrangements to accommodate more guests. Emily looked up, surprised. But Barbara, we've already finalized the seating arrangements. We can't make changes now. Barbara waved off Emily's concerns. Nonsense, Emily. There's always room for improvement. And besides, it's my son's wedding. I want it to be perfect. Alex, sensing the rising tension, tried to intervene. Mom, I appreciate your input, but Emily and I have already put a lot of thought into the seating arrangements. We really think they're the best option for our guests. Barbara's expression hardened. Well, I disagree. And as the mother of the groom, I think my opinion should carry more weight. Emily felt a surge of frustration. Barbara, this is our wedding. We want it to reflect our vision and our choices. We value your input, but we also need you to respect our decisions. Barbara scoffed. Respect your decisions? You two don't even know what you want. You're making a mistake, Emily, a big mistake. With that, Barbara stormed out of the room, leaving Emily and Alex feeling stunned and hurt. They knew that Barbara's interference had reached a breaking point, and they would need to find a way to assert themselves and take control of their wedding. As the wedding planning continued, tensions between Emily and Barbara reached a boiling point. Barbara's interference had escalated to the point where she was making decisions without consulting Emily or Alex. Emily felt disrespected and marginalized, and Alex was torn between his loyalty to his mother and his desire to support Emily. One afternoon, as Emily and Barbara were discussing the floral arrangements for the wedding, Barbara dropped a bombshell. "I've decided to change the color scheme for the wedding," Barbara announced, her tone casual. Emily's eyes widened in shock. "What?" "Barbara, we've already finalized the color scheme. Why would you change it without consulting us?" Barbara shrugged. "I just thought it would look better this way. Trust me, I know what I'm doing." Emily felt her frustration bubbling to the surface. "Barbara, this is our wedding. We've spent months planning every detail, and now you want to change everything at the last minute? This is not okay." Barbara bristled at Emily's tone. "I'm just trying to help, Emily. I want your wedding to be perfect, and I know what's best." Emily took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. "Barbara, I appreciate your input, but you can't just make decisions like this without talking to us first. It's not fair to us, and it's causing a lot of stress and tension." Barbara scoffed. "Stress and tension? This is nothing compared to what it's like to plan a wedding. You have no idea what you're talking about." Emily felt a surge of anger. "You know what, Barbara? Maybe you're right. Maybe I don't know what it's like to plan a wedding, but I do know what it's like to feel disrespected and marginalized. And right now, that's exactly how you're making me feel." Barbara's face hardened. "Well, if that's how you feel, maybe I should just step back and let you plan your wedding on your own. Clearly, my help is not appreciated." With that, Barbara stormed out of the room, leaving Emily feeling frustrated and defeated. She knew that the situation had reached a breaking point, and she would have to find a way to assert herself and find a compromise with Barbara if she wanted to salvage their relationship and her dream wedding. As the wedding planning continued, so did the tension between Emily and Barbara. Barbara's interference had become more pronounced, and Emily's frustration had reached its peak. One afternoon, as Emily and Barbara sat down to discuss the wedding venue, tensions quickly escalated. Barbara insisted on a grand and extravagant venue, completely disregarding Emily's preference for a more intimate setting. "Barbara, I appreciate your input, but this is our wedding," Emily said, trying to remain calm. "We want something more personal, something that reflects who we are as a couple." Barbara scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Oh please, Emily. You're being too sentimental. This is a once-in-a-lifetime event, and it should be grand and memorable." Emily felt her patience wearing thin. "Barbara, I understand that you want the best for us, but we have different ideas about what that means. We need you to respect our decisions and support us." Barbara's face hardened, her tone becoming more aggressive. "I raised Alex, Emily. I know what's best for him, and this venue is perfect for his wedding. You need to stop being so stubborn and listen to me." Emily felt a surge of anger. "Stubborn? Listen to you? Barbara, this is not about you. This is about Alex and me, and what we want for our wedding. If you can't respect that, then maybe you shouldn't be involved in the planning." Barbara stood up abruptly, her face red with anger.
Fine, Emily.
"If that's how you feel, then maybe I shouldn't be involved. Maybe I should just stay out of your way and let you ruin your own wedding." With that, Barbara stormed out of the room, leaving Emily feeling shaken and upset. She knew that the situation had reached a breaking point, and she wasn't sure how they would be able to move forward from here. As the wedding planning continued, so did the tension between Emily and Barbara. Emily tried to assert herself and communicate her wishes, but Barbara seemed determined to have her way, dismissing Emily's opinions and ideas at every turn. One day, as Emily and Barbara sat down to discuss the wedding venue, tensions reached a boiling point. Barbara had been pushing for a grand, expensive venue that was way over budget, ignoring Emily's concerns about cost and practicality. "Barbara, I really think we need to consider other options," Emily said, trying to keep her voice calm. "The venue you're suggesting is beautiful, but it's just not feasible for us financially." Barbara scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Oh, please, Emily. Money is no object. Alex deserves the best, and this venue is perfect for his special day." Emily felt her frustration mounting. "Barbara, this is not just Alex's day, it's mine too. I want a wedding that reflects both of us, not just what you think is best." Barbara's eyes narrowed, her tone icy. "Well, maybe if you had better taste, I wouldn't have to step in and take control." Emily felt a surge of anger. "Excuse me? This is my wedding, Barbara. I love Alex more than anything, but I will not let you steamroll over me and dictate every aspect of our special day." Barbara stood up, her face red with anger.
Fine, Emily.
"Have it your way. But don't come crying to me when you're tacky. Budget wedding is a disaster." With that, Barbara stormed out of the room, leaving Emily feeling shaken and hurt. She knew that things had reached a breaking point, and she would need to find a way to assert herself without causing irreparable damage to her relationship with Barbara and Alex. As Emily sat alone, trying to gather her thoughts, she realized that she would need to have a serious conversation with Alex about the future of their wedding planning and their relationship with Barbara. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to find a way to balance her desire for the perfect wedding with her need to maintain harmony with her future in-laws. As the wedding day approached, Emily and Alex felt a sense of excitement and anticipation. They had worked hard to plan their dream wedding, and they were eager to see it all come together. However, there was still one thing weighing on Emily's mind: her strained relationship with Barbara. Despite Alex's intervention, Barbara had remained distant and uninvolved in the wedding planning process. Emily couldn't help but feel hurt by Barbara's lack of enthusiasm and support. One evening, as Emily sat down to finalize the seating arrangements, there was a knock at the door. She opened it to find Barbara standing there, a tentative smile on her face. "Emily, can we talk?" Barbara asked, her voice soft. Emily hesitated for a moment before stepping aside to let Barbara in. They sat down in the living room, facing each other in awkward silence. I wanted to apologize, Emily," Barbara began, her voice filled with emotion. "I realize now that I've been too controlling, too focused on my own vision for the wedding. I should have been more supportive of you and Alex." Emily felt a surge of relief. Maybe, just maybe, they could put their differences behind them and move forward. "I appreciate that, Barbara," Emily said, her voice gentle. "But I also want you to know that this wedding is about Alex and me. We value your input and your support, but ultimately, the decisions are ours to make." Barbara nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "I understand, Emily. I just want you to know that I love Alex very much, and I only want what's best for him." Emily reached out a hand, and Barbara took it, their eyes meeting in understanding. "I know, Barbara," Emily said, her voice filled with sincerity. "And I appreciate that. I want us to be able to move forward, to put this behind us and start fresh."